let's go to the handout. It's the same handout from week 1 and 2. It's also in Blackboard. Put the handouts in there. And what on it? Like I said, what on it? So we're going to finish. We're going to do this one. We may have already done it last week, but we'll do it together. Just to make sure we're all on our path. Okay, and remember, when I first get these, again, these T accounts are, we're really just using them to see the flow. So you really don't have to know debits and credits. And everything comes in on the left and goes out on the right. Goes from here to here. Yeah, so everything goes in. See, I'm using color here. It's hard for your brain to look at. It's hard for my brain to look at. In on this side, goes out on the other side. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, first of all, we're going to focus this thing. A little bit fuzzy. All right, what we're going to do is put this stuff in here. Page 3 and 4 are a little bit tricky because they have a missing number, which we'll talk about in a second here. We talked about it last week, but what do you do if there's a number missing? We'll talk about that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is put in the beginning inventories in the 3 types of accounts we have that go into making something. The materials, like the wood, the screw, the paint, all that kind of stuff. Work in process as those things that are being worked on but not finished. And once they're finished, they go into finished goods. So we have inventories in each of them. So this will be 38. And we're going to leave the ending ones to the end. Okay, so these are all the beginning inventories. So we're going to forget about this side for a moment. We're going to go to the other side. Plant overhead. There's an overhead. Sales we don't need right now. Check that one out. I'll say that. Direct labor, we can put that in, 80. Direct labor. Cost of goods sold, we'll use that later. And purchases, normally we would put in purchases into direct materials, but we don't know what the purchases are. So what we're going to do is put in a 0. When you don't know what the how much it should be, put in a 0. So normally purchases would go here. Let me get a marker. Now, I know that 0 is wrong, but we're going to get through the end, and the cost of goods sold with purchases should be 400. So we're going to calculate what the cost of goods sold is without them, and then compare them at the end. So whatever our cost of goods sold is off by should be what's in those purchases. Okay. And I think we're ready to start moving stuff across. Uh-oh, where's my ruler? Where's my ruler? Oh, I don't have it. I use my old Toys R Us gift card. I'm not sure why I still have this, but I'll use it. Okay, so 38 plus 0 is 38. We go up and look for the ending inventory, and we subtract out the ending inventory. The ending inventories always get subtracted out. In real life, you don't put a minus there. So 38 minus 31 means that 7 must have been used. Seven, 80, come over. Okay. So, time for Mr. Calculator. We're going to add them up. 68 plus 7 plus 80 plus 90. It's 245. Take out your bankrupt Toys R Us gift card. You don't have to have one of these. Any inventory in work in process was 84. So we'll subtract that out. So 245 minus 84. The exam will be printed out. It'll be printed out. The second will be online. I might have some tests online, but at least initially we're not going to do that. We'll do it by hand. So if you did, it'll just be different forms and stuff. Yeah, again, this is the way people. Usually the way people learn better. Okay, 317, we come over here. And the ending is 54. Okay, so here's what we do with this. I think I'll do it down here. Our our cost of goods sold is actually given to us up here. Cost of goods sold is 400. Oops. So this is what our cost of goods sold is. This is what we calculated. Now this is the cost of goods sold without purchases. So what you're going to do, my bankrupt Toys R Us gift card isn't long enough. Improvise. The difference between these two must be the purchases. Right? This is it without the purchases. This is what it is with the purchases. So the difference here, so purchases is whatever that is. So 400 minus 163. Oops, 237. So our purchases should be 237. This is a missing numbers. So this would be what you put in here. And by the way, this missing number thing, when does this ever happen? When does it ever happen that you don't know a number? And there's actually two cases where you won't know the number usually. And that is if there's a theft or a fire. Unless, so for instance, if you have a store and your place was burglarized, you come in the next morning and you call the police and you call the insurance person. The insurance person says, well, what was taken? You can't go count it up. It's gone. That's the whole problem. The things that you need to tell, you need replacement of from the insurance company are gone. So you have to come up with some way of backing into those numbers. I mean, unless you just happen to take inventory the night before or something. But, under normal circumstances, you're going to back into those numbers. Same thing with the fire. Insurance company says, well, what was, well, I don't know. It's all ashes. It's, you have to back into those numbers. So even though it is a little bit contrived to say, okay, we don't know the number, a lot of times you actually do have to come up with this. Gross profit. So gross profit is our sales minus our cost of goods sold. Gross profit or gross margin. That's what I'm going to say one more thing, that then we'll do the practice test, and that is those of you that are accounting majors, and by the way, I didn't start out as being an accounting major. I was not very good at accounting when I first took it, but later on I got some better. Anyway, if you know how to do it, how to do these, you know how to do the journal entries. Anywhere there's an arrow is a journal entry. So this would be debiting direct materials. Uh, 7. And this goes into work in process. So you don't really need to know this, you know. And if you're not an accounting major, you're probably not going to run into this at all. Well, you might do a little bit of it if you're a manufacturing or something. But wherever there's an arrow is going to be a journal entry. Oops. So direct labor would be, you know, it's 80, work in process. 80 and so forth. So wherever you see an arrow, it's journal entry. Not an accounting major, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is jump to practice exam. And we'll kind of go through this. And then will be it for tonight, and that'll be it for this chapter. And again, I'll send the exam. It'll be a written one. Again, the reason for being written, you'll remember it better. Well, when I used to teach this in the classroom, I used to make all the handouts be different colors. And so, you know, the first handout would be yellow and green and whatever. And because of the color thing we talked about. And it's kind of funny because when I would say, you know, I say, I don't know how to do this, I want to say, I don't know how to do it. I say it's the green handout. And they go, oh yeah, right, oh, I know how to do it. It's kind of funny how it, you know, the strange thing, like, you know, just what color paper it is can make a difference. Seems out of focus here. Okay. All right, well, so this is more like pages 1 and 2 of the handout. So there's problem 1 in the practice exam. And I don't think I put a drop for this one in there. I can't remember. I will have to put a new drop in for the practice exam. You know, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to jump to the in Blackboard. You got to submit assignments, and it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th one down here, and this is where you're going to turn it in. I'm going to add on the chapter 15 handout. I'm going to add in chapter 15 practice exam. So this is where you turn in your chapter 15 handout. You know, if you have pictures, take the pictures. You can scan it, send the scan. If it's a file, just upload the file. And same thing for the exam. So, but I'll put in a practice exam here. Want to see how we do this? I'll show you how we do it. Edit that so it makes sense. Okay. Ignore those due dates. I'll change those due dates. It'll be due a week from now. So anyway, so this is where you're going to submit them. So handout, the practice exam, and the exam. Okay, let's go back to. Okay. So on this one, again, same thing we've done 4 times now. Put the beginnings in. jump over to the other side. And let me see something here. I think this is goes back to the first handout. Okay. You remember from this thing, things that are keywords for overhead: factory, manufacturing, overhead, indirect, plant. Those are all things that are overhead. These down here are things that are not. This is from page 7 of the handout. All right, so coming here, indirect cost. Indirect cost is it's overhead. So this will be overhead. Sales is not. Direct labor is direct labor. Selling expenses are not things that are not overhead. Selling expenses. Purchases are of direct materials. And administrative expenses are not. Okay. Well, moving things across. Oops, let's try that again. 88 plus 142. So this is how much we have in direct materials. If we didn't make anything, there still should be 230 in there. But we send somebody out and say, how much is still left in direct materials? And they say there's 85. So if they hit in 230 and there's only 85 left, that means the rest of those must have been used. So again, the ending ones, you're going to subtract them. So 230 minus 85. Direct labor. Overhead. All right. Hey, what happened? Okay, so 16. So if we didn't finish anything, there's supposed to be 275 sitting in there. We asked someone to go out and count up what's left in work in process. They said there's 19. So we must have finished 256. So 256 plus 128. So 384 is the most goods that we could have sold. The very most we could have sold was that. Again, we asked someone to go out and count up how much in finished goods and we still have, or in other words, how much was not sold. So 129 was not sold, so the rest of that must have been sold. Okay, filling in our little grid up here. We have 145. That was the amount of direct materials that we used. I'm going to circle B out. If I can come back to that one. I think I'll show you guys how to do that one. I think we do it in the other ones, but I'll let, if you want to do extra credit, I'll put that on. Cost of goods manufactured is right here. Actually, I'll color these. Okay, so this would be 256. Cost of goods sold. So this will be extra credit on the test. So on the exam, this will be extra credit, and that is for B. Okay, so B says, what are the total manufacturing costs for the period? Okay. The total manufacturing costs for the period are the direct materials, the direct labor, and the overhead. Those are the manufacturing costs for the period. And that equals some number. Okay, so this one, extra credit. That's right. It's just extra credit on the exam. Not on here. On here you can put it down or not. But on the exam, if you do it on the exam, I'll give you extra credit for that one. So you have double extra credit for the email and then extra credit for this. So again, this is not required. B is not going to be required. B will be extra credit on the exam. Um, yeah, so if you don't do that, don't worry about it. It's not going to be. It's 3 points to be added on. All right, let's go to the last problem of the night. Last problem of the night is problem 2 on the practice exam. And again, put in a 0 for that, and then work it through. You can also work from the back. Sometimes, students say, "Oh, I'll just take this cost of goods sold 370 and work backwards." That's fine too. You can do it either way you want. But I like to show going forward. I think most people do better with it going forward. And again, this direct labor, I know that this is wrong, but it's going to be off by exactly what that number is. So we had 165 in there. The ending was 72. So of the 165, 72 was not used. So the question is, how much was used? And overhead. All right. So let's see here. Plus 93 plus 0. You have to actually do that. Plus 60. So we have 183 in there. Count it up. Minus 42. Plus 38, 89. And again, we go out, if we didn't sell anything, there still should be 189 in there. someone goes out and counts up and says, okay, the finished goods, there's 34 that were left. So there's 34 that were not sold, so the rest of these were sold. So the 189, 34 were not sold. So how many were sold? Okay, so we'll go ahead and say, I'll just put it here. So cost of goods sold was 370. Cost of goods sold without direct labor was 155. There's no comma there. Okay, so direct labor must be the difference between those two. So 370 minus 155 is 15. So that must have been the direct labor. And again, if you want, you could always plug this back in, rework it, and you should come out with 370. You know, this is the true cost of goods sold. So if you plug this 215 into here, it should work out the same. It should work out to the 370. Question on that? Okay, so here's what we're going to turn in. So turn in this week, chapter 15 handout, chapter 15 practice exam, and the chapter 15 exam. And I'll get this out tonight, probably like around 10 o'clock. I might get it out a little earlier, but. So I'll send this out by 10 p.m. And it'll be due by next Wednesday. So next Wednesday it'll be for the due date of next Wednesday. But you'll get it tonight, probably like around 10. It depends, but let's say 10 o'clock. You should have it. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah. So where is the chapter 15 handout and the practice exam? Like, where do we get that?
Oh, it's in your email. I sent it to your email. It's also if you go in. I'll share the screen. So I sent it out in emails, but if you don't get your email, it should be in. Let's see. If you go to, like halfway down here, handout files, they'll be in there also. Now,
Okay, so all of them?
Yeah, so there's the handout, chapter 15. Here's the practice exam in chapter 15. Now, the exams will only be in your email because people get different forms of the exam. So the exam will be sent to you via email, but all the other handouts will be in the handout files. And that's for every chapter.
Okay, and so for chapter 15 for the handout and the practice exam, to turn it in, would we be able to like make copies and then just take pictures and then just send them there?
Uh, yeah, well, you have to somehow get them to be. Yeah, if you just take pictures of them, if you have a phone or you can borrow someone's phone to take pictures of them, that's fine. Um, however you want to do it is fine with me. And again, get out of here for a second. I'll take it in any format.
All right, and so for the exam, that's due on Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
Next Wednesday?
but I mean, you can write it out, in a notebook and take a picture of it. You can do it in the file itself. So you open up the Word document, do it in there. You can do it in Excel. If you want to print it out, you can do it on a printout copy, like that I was showing on here.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, any form, whether it's a picture, a scan, or a file, I'll take it. And so,
Same thing. So the handout, the practice exam, and the email doesn't matter then?
well, yeah, you're gonna want to turn those in. Yeah, so you're
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
turn those in, and then also the exam, which I'll be sending out later on.
Okay, all right. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, and if you have any questions, go ahead and email me. We'll figure it out. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Again, I'll send out the email with the exam maybe around 10ish. It might be there a little earlier, but around 10. Okay.
And I have another question. Were you able to find out about the course book that we're gonna need for this?
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I sent it to I sent it to um, uh, our curriculum chair, the curriculum chair that I had before, and he can't get anything done with it. But I sent it to the rep, and they haven't returned anything. So I'm assuming that they're not going to do it. Which, I feel horrible about it.
Right.
I wish they, I think if we had more time on planning the quarters, because it happened so quickly that we were shifted into Roosevelt. I think that there wasn't very much forethought in it, and I apologize for that. It shouldn't be like that. But
Right.
let me. I will. I haven't heard back. I'll put it this way. I haven't heard no. I haven't
Right.
heard anything. I'll send out another email just to make sure that they got it.
All right. And so when would we use the book like for your class?
Well, we probably are going to do some things out of the book online. We're certainly going to do problems out of the book. So you might want to have them for that. And I do give people the option of doing some of the problems online. So if you'd rather do them online and submit them. But truthfully, though, I mean, even if you just have the book, if you know,
Oh, okay.
you can probably pick it up used.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take assignments in any form. So if I give an assignment, whatever, chapter 17, problem 7, whatever it is, if I give it to you, if you want to do it online, if I have it offered online, you can do it online, or you can do it by hand. I'll take it either way.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good then.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.